Welcome back to the Takeout. Elon Musk's testimony concluded today in his lawsuit against OpenAI. Musk is accusing CEO Sam Altman and his company, that's OpenAI, of making him believe early that his investments were helping to launch a nonprofit that would benefit humanity. OpenAI became a for-profit company in 2025. Lawyers for OpenAI have rejected these allegations. The CEO of The Atlantic and host of the Most Interesting Thing in AI podcast, Nicholas Thompson, joins me now. Nick, it's great to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you.
Help my audience understand what's at stake in this trial. I know it's contract law, I know it's personalities, but maybe it's the future of artificial intelligence?
I mean, what's at stake is really the future of OpenAI.
Okay.
If Musk wins the case, and he wins on all of his claims, it would be incredibly damaging for OpenAI, which would be very good for Musk's competitor, xAI.
And if there were to be one fewer competitor in this space, what practical effect would that have on the future evolution of artificial intelligence?
Maybe it would go a little bit more slowly, but I don't think it makes a huge difference. If OpenAI were the only AI company, there would be a lot more at stake. But there's Google, there's Anthropic, there are all these open source competitors, there's Chinese models. So what's really at stake is OpenAI.
Speaking of the Chinese, Bernie Sanders did something very interesting last night. He had a symposium on the future of artificial intelligence with American developers and Chinese developers, trying to figure out some way to have a conversation about guardrails.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate that?
Well, I think that the best possible outcome would actually be if the United States and Chinese developers could work together. If AI becomes incredibly powerful, you're going to need the two sides to work together. As it is right now, we're splitting further and further apart, and you're seeing new things happen every day. So I'm glad that Sanders is doing this.
Nick, you said if AI becomes super, super powerful. So much of what I read says that it's inevitable. It cannot be stopped from becoming super powerful. And if we don't begin to erect guardrails now, it will at some point get beyond our ability to do so.
Well, it already is super powerful. It will continue to be super powerful. We certainly do need some kind of societal guardrails. We certainly do need to figure out job transitions. But think about it this way. How many companies have actually been fundamentally changed by AI? Not that many, right? You go and I give a talk about AI and I say, hey, if you're a CFO, raise your hand if your company's 5% more productive because of AI. No hands go up, right? So AI is an extremely powerful tool. But life is complicated and messy, and it's not like your computer screen is suddenly and instantaneously going to turn the world upside down.
I want to read to you something that I came across. It's a paper from researchers at the University of Pennsylvania and Boston University. It was called The AI Layoff Trap. Here's a summary. With over 100,000 tech layoffs in 2025 alone and 80% of the U.S. workforce exposed to AI displacement, the narrative around automation has largely focused on human tragedy versus corporate triumph. We picture displaced workers struggling while tech-enabled megacorporations rake in unprecedented profits. But a glaringly important game theory paper from these researchers reveals a much darker reality. The corporations aren't winning either. In fact, they are mathematically trapped in a suicide pact, meaning they lay off more and more people. Consumer ability to purchase because you don't have a job anymore takes away demand, takes away their own ability to function in this economy. Evaluate that.
All right, so that is a very...
That's a doomer.
That is a
That's
dark
hard
possibility.
doomer.
Why don't I make the opposite argument, and then we can try to meet in the middle. So the opposite argument, no tool has ever given people the ability to learn as much and become intelligent as quickly, right? You can learn a new language, you can learn new skills. You sort of have an infinitely accessible helper. Companies can become much more efficient, which should make prices go down, right? If your toothpaste company becomes so much better at making toothpaste because they have the incredible machines, your toothpaste will cost less, right? So everybody benefits. Not only that, look at the U.S. stock market over the last year. It's done pretty well because of these AI companies, right? We're creating new jobs, we're creating new companies, we're creating new things. Also, horse and buggies. They went away, they were replaced by cars. All these people used to whip the horses, right? Like they lost their jobs. But then the cars were able to drive everywhere. So we don't know right now. Like, it is possible that AI will lead to this future where stuff changes too quickly and companies are put out of business and people are displaced and society can't catch up. It's also possible stuff's going to get better.
Part of the argument of this paper is that once one company sees a competitor lay off a bunch of people and increase efficiency with AI, they will be forced to match or exceed those layoffs to make sure their stock valuation stays up, and that this is a continuous and unstoppable loop.
But here's where it might stop. first company lays off people because of AI, and this is what we're kind of seeing right now. The companies that are laying off people because of AI, they're not actually doing better because it's hard to have AI replace people. So it may be the case, that AI can really replace people, and we can have like an avatar hosting this show. But you know what? I like going on with you, right? It's better, right? And most companies function the same way.
That, Nick Thompson. God bless you for saying that. Talk to my audience very briefly, Nick, about the squabble between Anthropic and the Department of the Defense and Mythos, and its still application being used by, believe it or not, NSA, National Security
So there was
Agency.
a very intense squabble. Your viewers all know about this, where the Department of Defense said, no, Anthropic, we are not going to use you. In fact, we're going to try to shut you down because you have disobeyed us and you have refused to do what we say.
You're a supply chain risk.
You're a supply chain risk because Anthropic doesn't want to, want some control over how its product is used. It's a pretty interesting fight. After that happened, Anthropic released a new model, Mythos, or produced, didn't release. And it had great cybersecurity capabilities and the ability to hack other websites. And I guess if the Department of Defense decided that it absolutely wouldn't be hypocritical, they would have said, we're not using it. But they're practical. They want to use it. Like if there's a tool to hack into a website. And as an American, don't you want the Department of Defense and the NSA to have the best tools? Wouldn't you rather, as opposed to our adversaries? So I consider it a rational choice on the government's part to say, you know what? I know we were mad at you. I know we're trying to destroy you as a company, but can we just use this product for a little while?
Nick, I am endlessly fascinated by artificial intelligence and all of its implications. I say every night when I end the show that we are relentlessly curious here. That is 100,000% true about artificial intelligence. Will you come back? Because I want to have this conversation.
Oh, I love talking about it. This is the most
again.
interesting thing happening in the world right now.
Thank you so much.